What's up, everybody? This is Just One here, and welcome to the Just One Show. I have an exclusive interview here with Sifu David Ross and Sifu Stephen. Okay. Now, what we're going to talk about today is interaction and internet beef that's going on between Sifu David Ross and Sifu Gus. All right. So, Brad, how did this whole thing start? You know, is it personal?
One of the things I wanted to stress is that it's not personal, like two guys that just don't like each other. I have nothing personal against the guy. It started off very simple and it just keeps like expanding. Like I said, about 10 years ago, 2004 is when Chan Tai San died. That's our common Sifu, right? Everyone had gone their sort of separate ways. Everybody had different schools. They were doing their own thing. Everybody had to come together because the teacher died. We started spending more time with each other. We started talking to each other. And also we went on a Kung Fu forum that's owned by Gene Chen called the Kung Fu Online Forum. And I went on there originally because I was just sort of like writing slogans about my teacher. And we sort of encouraged everybody to go on there and talk. And so I was on there. Sifu Rock was on there. You can find him on Facebook. Sifu Michael Perello was on there. And Gus Capros was on there. Sifu Gus Capros. What happened was, first, we saw Gus saying some things that were not factually correct, like stories about Sifu. And he said something almost like ridiculous, like he saw Sifu rip somebody's heart like out of their chest, and he was saying stuff like he got into an argument with a guy that did jiu-jitsu named Dale Frank. Does Brazilian jiu-jitsu, he's a black belt. He also belongs to that Dog Brothers organization, full contact stick fighting. And he said, well, you know, Sifu always said that jiu-jitsu is like nonsense. My Sifu never said that. He would get into arguments with people and he'd say like, you know, Sifu says like Wing Chun is nonsense. My Sifu never said that. A very concrete example is, my Sifu said to me, he says, I don't particularly like the Hong Kong because I feel like it's condensed. He goes, I knew my teacher's from mainland China. And he said, I knew a lot of people on the mainland. And he says, on the mainland, Wing Chun is a big system. It's got like 7, 8 forms. It's got internal training. It's not just got the short hand. It's got the long hand. It's got more kicking. He goes, I prefer that system because it's more rounded. He goes, I feel like a lot of people just learn like a small part of the system. That's really different than saying the system's like nonsense. Or the system's crap, or you know, like words like I don't want to use, like you know, bull crap, that kind of stuff. So what we first did, Michael Perello, Chris Rock, myself, we contacted him privately. We said, just slow it down a little bit. This is going to make us all look bad. You tell some stories that people are going to know are just ridiculous. I don't know where you got these stories. We said, please don't talk bad about other people because our teacher had a very good relationship. Really recently, but it goes back to that period, Gus just had a big argument with a guy named Jeff Wagner. Jeff Wagner's a praying mantis guy from Detroit. He was very good friends with us. His teacher was very good friends with Chan Tai San. We were very close to that guy. We got into it with that guy saying, oh, praying mantis, praying that. That's not our friend, you know, like, we don't have bad relations with people. We never wanted bad relations with people. We were part of the movement, part of the Wu Lin. We've always had them. We would go to the tournaments. We were friendly with everybody. We were friendly with Tai Yin, the home foot teacher. We were friendly with everybody. Why see balls up on that teacher?
What was the whole video and article you did saying that he's a fraud and he never trained your teacher?
Well, I didn't say he never trained my teacher. I said he lied about the way that he trained my teacher. Because, for example, we would say to him, like, just tone it down. Don't tell crazy stories. And his response was basically tell us, well, you know, screw ourselves. So then what happened was we go on and we correct him because we didn't want to have a bad relationship. That's when he started with the nonsense. As far as like the big article about the lies, I got called lies, right? Listen, I say this way, right? I said we had a conversation with Sifu Innocenzi. Sifu Innocenzi is also very close to Chan Tai San. I said, you know, if I'm telling you a story and I go, I think I met Chan Tai San in October. It was November, you know, I made a mistake. That's one thing. If you met somebody at 24 years old, you didn't meet him when you were 17. You know you didn't meet him when you were 17. We had this problem before with him. He said, I met Chan Tai San when I was a little child and he adopted me and he raised me. We all know that's not true. He met him in 1990 when he was 24 years old. I said to Gus, I go, I was there and starting in, I met my teacher in 1986, right? I was with him from 1986 way through all the way, but I was certainly there in 1990 when Gus came to school. And Gus even said on the Kung Fu forum, yeah, it was 1990 I met him when I was 24 years old. I don't see what the point is in telling a story like that. You were a little kid. Then it became I was 17. I think when you did the interview with him, he said he was 17. Then we had the Sino Vision interview, he said I was 17. Gus was born in 1966. You can look it up on the internet. Right? Gus also says in the Vision interview, you know, that was a little before, I think it's like he did it last year maybe, to be fair. He said, I'm 47, so it was 30 years ago. In 1982, 1983, Chan Tai San wasn't in the US. So I said to him, how did you meet him at 17 if he wasn't even in the US? Because first I said, well, you know, you never met him at 16. You never met him at 17. I was there in 86, you weren't there in 86. So he goes, I met him, but I trained with him later. How did you even meet him? He wasn't in the US. The thing that I sent you some stuff to look at, right? Mm-hmm. What it was very simple. I can tell you I met him in 86. I can prove I was there in 86. We published the first article about him, me and a gentleman named Stephen Lorette. Stephen Lorette is part of the Crane Magic School under Juba. I haven't seen him in a long time, but he's a good friend of Carl Albright. He's a good friend of Carl Albright. So you can find him. He introduced me to Chan Tai San. We wrote an article in 1989. Gus wasn't there in 1989. Now, people came later, right? There's nothing wrong with they came later. But he said, I was there in 1982, 1983. Well, you weren't. There's no reason to say that. Say you met the teacher in 1990, that's fine. Yeah, I always say to people, if Gus just says, I met Chan Tai San, I learned some stuff from Chan Tai San, I'm a Chan Tai San student, I have no problem with that. Chan Tai San was here, he taught maybe 5,000 people. There's a lot of people that learn things with him.
Yeah, I remember him saying that at first the teacher didn't like him. He didn't. Is there any truth to that?
I don't think Chan Tai San liked anybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way of putting it.
I don't think he ever met anyone who was like, hey, I love you. He was a tough old guy.
Yeah,
he'd been around the block 1,000 times, and if he tolerated you, even you had to earn that. You had to earn that. So that might be true. Maybe Gus did feel he was not liked, but I think that's probably common.
But the thing is also, like, Michael Perella introduced him in 1990. By that time, Sifu Innocenzi was already there, Sifu Chris Urok was there, Sifu Michael Perella was there. We feel like he's trying to jump ahead of us by saying, oh yeah, I met him in 1982. There's no reason for that. There are people that met Chan Tai San before I met him. There were people that met him at the same time that aren't necessarily part of the group, like Carl Albright. Carl Albright actually trained in Chinatown in the Chan Family Association, the same place I showed you those pictures. Now, he's not part of Chan Tai San's organization. He went off to do his own thing. I don't have any problem with Carl.
Is this Chocolate Four or Mama Pie?
Well, our teacher taught both. But what he would do is, he would pick you to do one system. So, like, for example, people say to me, you know Chocolate Four. I know very little about Chocolate Four because I was in the school my teacher would teach it. I don't really say I know Chocolate Four because my primary area of study with Chan Tai San was Lama Pie. So I learned Lama Pie from Chan Tai San.
I only learned Lama.
Exactly.
If I even could say I learned Lama, it was only Lama. He never wanted.
And that's the problem. Gus was mostly a Chocolate Four guy. So, I mean, that's okay. Study good Chocolate Four under a good teacher. Why do you have to say, I never say I do Chocolate Four, so why do you say he doesn't want to? And also, like, he always, like, he's not precise about things. And what happens is that causes problems. Really, there's a system called Lion's Roar. Lion's Roar was the original system that was being taught in southern China. Like any system, after a couple of generations, people break up. So you had Singlo, and he taught Lion's Roar. He had two major students. One was Wang Yanlong, one was Wang Lung Poi. When Wang Lung Poi became the White Crane, so for example, in Chinatown, the other day, it was like the White Crane School. Right, we were very good friends with them, but it's a slightly different system. It's like related, but it's not exactly the same. On Wang Yanlong's side, some people use the Lama name, some people use the Hakka name. We got letters from all over the world when Gus did his interview on Vision, because he goes, I do this system, it's all the same. It's like, it's called, you know, Lama Pie, also known as White Crane, also known as Hakka. Now, we have friends in all those different systems, because they're kind of like our cousins, but it's not the same thing as being exactly the same. So we got letters from like the White Crane Association, we got letters from like the Hakka Association. I'm very good friends with a Sifu named David Rogers in the UK. He's from what they call the Dong family line of Hakka. Now, he wasn't upset with me, because he knows I didn't say that. But he goes, why is your brother, like, insulting people and all this stuff? That's sort of like the kind of thing that he does all the time that causes problems. And we say, you gotta be more precise. You don't want to, when he trained with us, one of the problems was, he didn't want to learn history, he didn't want to learn philosophy, he didn't want to learn Chinese. Chan Tai San didn't speak any English, right? I'm not making that up. No. Right? How much English did he know? Tomorrow.
Three.
Go to movie, you know, and a couple bad words. We all have to learn to speak Cantonese. Gus was like, I don't want to learn Cantonese, I don't want to learn Chinese. That's okay. But then it's kind of hard for you to say, like 20 years later, I got all these secrets because I had this deep relationship with my teacher. How did you speak to him?
How did you feel about him challenging you to a bare knuckle fight?
Well, this is the story with that, right? I tried to correct him about some incorrect things that he said. And his response to me was, well, I want to fight you. Now, he challenged me 3 times. Twice in 2006 and once in 2007. And my response to him was, if you want to challenge me, it really has nothing to do with what we're talking about, right? But I'm a Kung Fu man. I'll fight you. He kept backing out. One time he got a lawyer to threaten the Kung Fu forum and threaten me. You know, like, honestly. Somebody says, come to my school and fight, and the next day you get a call from his lawyer saying, if you come to school, I'm going to have you arrested. You're not going to show up, right?
Yep.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense, right? I'm old school, right? I know a lot of old school people. I know you know Novell. Novell's old school, right? Mao Shan is old school, right? In the old school, if somebody challenges you, it's okay. You can't, you lock the doors. We had only 3 rules. I don't poke you in the eyes, I don't bite you, and I don't hit you in the butt. It's only 3 rules. You follow those 3 rules, right? You get in, you do your thing. Maybe you bring some people just to make sure it's honest. And when it's done, you shake hands. You could be friends even after that. But that's the way it is. But I don't think he really wants to fight. I think he just wants to distract people from the fact that we're correcting his mistakes. So it's want to fight, want to fight, want to fight. Every time he backed out, he told me like, oh, you know, I got to fight in combat rules. Okay, we'll fight combat rules. But then it's like silly stuff like I want to bring friends and they're gonna have knives. Dude, you want to fight me? You don't need friends with knives, right? You and I are gonna bare knuckle go at it, right?
What do you think this is? West Side Story?
Well, that's what he did. I mean, you can look it up. We captured all those screen captures of everything he said. It's again like it's a distraction, right? Like I'm not a UFC fighter. I'm not a professional fighter, right? Professional fighter can show up. It's gonna beat me up, maybe, right? It's not gonna change like the color of the sky. It's not gonna change what the name of the city is. You know, UFC champion John Jones can show up and say, this city's not called New York, I'm going to fight you over it. He beats me up, it doesn't change the fact the city's named New York. He's challenged a lot of guys because he says ridiculous things and people call him out on it.
Have he challenged you?
No, we've always gotten along, and I mean, I've told David this. I mean, Gus has done a lot of great things. He should, you know, if I get a chance to talk to him about it, I'll say, you know, he trained with Chan Tai San. He represented Chan Tai San at one of the Masters tournaments, demonstrated on video. He did a lot of great things. I don't think he can be very proud about what he's done, and he doesn't need to embellish anything. You know, he's done a lot of great things. So that's just the things that he's done. He can be proud of, and you know, I mean, I've always gotten along. When he opened his school, Chan Tai San asked me to go there and help. I went and helped. I was there for him. Chan Tai San did a bunch of really crazy things, you know, rode on Gus's back, because I don't know if you remember, Gus was at that time supposedly going through some bad luck. So Chan Tai San did all this, you know, feng shui. I don't know if you guys know about feng shui. In America now, you know, they do geomancy, which is, you know, placement, but real feng shui, Chinese feng shui, is actually like shamanistic rituals.
It's almost like magic.
It's like magic. So Chan Tai San did the whole 9 yards, you know, the full treatment, full body treatment. And yeah, I went and I helped out. We've always gotten along, so I don't really understand the need to embellish or the need to stretch if you know, if that's what's going on.
But enough of the jiu-jitsu and stuff and going back and forth. Is there any way possible that you guys reconcile this?
Well,
I mean, I'm just asking.
You can, you know, I told Novell about the fight, right? If he wanted to fight me, he had numerous opportunities. He doesn't want to fight me. So, you know, when talking about fighting is ridiculous, because, you know, if he wanted to do it, he would have done it. I never had a problem with it. Another problem I have with him is, after all this talking and everything, right? This guy's school, he can do anything he wants in school, I don't care, right? I rolled on one day and he's just talking about me, like about how I betrayed my teacher and about how like I don't respect my teacher and all this other stuff. First of all, I was with my teacher almost to the day that he died, right? At a certain point he got sick and he was in the hospital. We used to go visit him. Now, to be perfectly honest, Innocenzi visited him probably the most. So Innocenzi, unfortunately, was the one that called me up once he passed, right? Because he was there. I don't remember Gus being at the hospital. So don't tell me about the relationship with teacher. I speak Chinese. I used to live in Washington, D.C. at one point. I was there for 3 years. Because I could write Chinese, I used to write my teacher letters. I had a very good relationship with my teacher. As far as my school, well, I've had my school for a long time. Even when he was active before he got sick, he was in my school. Gus says, oh, you train fighters. Like, that's a bad thing. My teacher was here when I was training fighters. He never had a problem with training fighters. He always thought it was cool.
Good. You say Gus had a problem with you?
Gus says like I'm a sellout because I train fighters, because I don't do forms anymore.
No.
Now, if you look, there's a plaque over there, right? It's in blue.
Yeah.
Right? If you read that plaque, it says C.G. Hao Sanda, right? C.G. Hao is Lion's Roar. Now, like I said, there's Llama, there's Top God, there's White Crane, but they all came from Lion's Roar. And the interesting thing, you know this, right, is that our teacher didn't study with one teacher. He studied with a lot of teachers. And one of the things that was unique about, he used to like to use the Lama Pai name, but really he had Hop God training, he had White Crane training. We learned a lot of things from a lot of different traditions. So I give respect to the original system, the Lion's Roar, because that's what my teacher was trying to reunite by training the Hop God teachers, White Crane teachers, Lama teachers. He used Lama a lot, but that's kind of a political thing, because his primary teacher used that name. But I use that name. Sanda means fight. So what I teach is the fighting of the Lion's Roar. I took the things that my teacher taught, the theories and the techniques, and I wanted to see them work. So I put them in things like Sanda, I put them in things like boxing, like the Golden Gloves, I put them in things like Muay Thai, I put them in things like MMA. Gus says, oh, you know, because you're not teaching forms and you're not like using uniforms, like you're selling out. I'm selling out. I took my teacher's system and made it work. I think, and when my teacher was alive, he never had a problem with that. Whether that, maybe in Gus's mind, you know, he thinks he's being like the hero or the savior or something, but that's not his place. That was his teacher's place. And I had a relationship with our teacher, and he didn't have a problem with it, so why should Gus have a problem with it? I don't have a problem with Gus. Gus has a problem with me. But when it comes to truth, I don't care who it is. I always call people on truth. That's my reputation in the community. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Chinese and you're a quote-unquote master. If you do something that's not cool or not correct, I will call you on it. I'm famous for that. A lot of people say I'm not respectful in that way because I'm not like a Confucian. You know, in Chinese society, if somebody's older than you or higher placed than you, you're not supposed to say, I'm an American. I say it like it is. If somebody like does something that's messed up, I gotta call it what it is. It's not disrespect. You know, the disrespect was if you lie. Like I said, if Gus right now changes his website, right, and I'll tell you something funny, go on Gus's website and read all the stuff that he put there about the system. Do you know who wrote all that stuff? I did. I published more than 50 articles on Chan Tai San and the system, and Innocenzi helped me. As a matter of fact, I sent you a copy of it, right? When Inside Kung Fu ran the cover story on Sifu. Sifu wrote the article on Innocenzi and I translated it. I remember that, right? I wrote tons of stuff. Now, I don't mind that my training brothers took that information and then put it on their websites because that's the history and the theory and everything. But first, you don't cite names, so that's kind of like plagiarism. But second of all, you're going to be talking smack about me. You know, I'm trying to get the words right, but they don't put my stuff on your website. Take it off. You know, you're going to be your own man. That's fine. You're your own man. But if you changed his website today and said, I met Chan Tai San in 1990. I was 24 years old and I studied with him until, you know, he got old and couldn't teach anymore, which was around 2002. We'd have no problem, because that's the truth. If he said, I learned Choi Lai Fut with Chan Tai San, and Chan Tai San, you know, promoted me to instructor in Choi Lai Fut, I have no problem with that. The stuff that he always embellishes. There's a clip on the internet we took out of this, you know, vision clip, right? He says he studied Thai boxing at 10 years old. Never seen any evidence of that. Why would you say that if it's not true? Not only that, like, technically speaking, that would be 1976. I don't think there was a Thai boxing school in Europe in 1976 because there's a very famous teacher named Phil Nurse who was the first Thai boxing teacher. He came here in the 80s. Lou Neglia, the big promoter who does MMA shows now, he was doing kickboxing shows. He was the first person to promote Muay Thai, and that's because when Phil came here, Phil said, I want to put my people up and do Thai boxing. Before that, they were doing American kickboxing all over the place. So, I'm not convinced how could you learn Thai boxing at 10? No, I don't see evidence in Thai boxing. You don't know how to clinch. You don't know how to like lock the knees.
Oh yeah.
You know, he says, just bothers me when, for example, when he had the argument with Dale Frank, one of the reasons that it really heated up was Dale Frank says, you strike me as, he said this to us, he says, you strike me as a fraud, so I bet your teacher was a fraud. Because when you say ridiculous things, he says, I have a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and Dale Frank goes, well, I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So, but you don't sound like you know jiu-jitsu. Yeah, I know jiu-jitsu, I know more better than you. And I'll break your arms, I'll break your legs, and I'll break your neck. And so he starts all this argument, and then Dale Frank starts going after my teacher. So I contacted Dale individually, and I said, please understand, don't speak badly of my teacher. Just because one person says silly things or starts an argument with you, don't speak badly about my teacher. We have respect for other arts. My teacher taught me respect. That's why I went and studied other things. Chan Tai San did a lot of different kinds of kung fu. He also did judo. He also did Western boxing. He never said, oh, only Chinese or only my system. That's not what we're about.
Right, so moving forward, what do you want to accomplish now? Moving forward, what do you want to accomplish now? Just going to move forward and just...
I hope people will take whatever he says in the future with a grain of salt and not think it reflects on the whole Chan Tai San school. I hope people, if people are interested in Chan Tai San, there's enough information that's been put out there about it. I hope they seek the real information. I hope they seek his real technique and his real attitudes about things. So I hope people don't think he's a fraud. He wasn't a man that lied. He had nothing to lie about. He wasn't a man that exaggerated. He had nothing to exaggerate about. He wasn't a big boaster either. He was a guy with great achievement, right?
Well, he never told us stories about winning fights. He would always tell us stories about losing fights. We would hear him about his winning from other people. People that knew him and had seen it, or people that knew him in China. One great story is we had a school on 17th Street, and the lady downstairs was from Chan Tai San, and she happened to see him in the elevator, and she almost fainted on the floor. And she came up and talked to us, and she said, I saw him perform on the street when I was a little girl, and I never forgot it. And here he is, in America, in the elevator. She couldn't believe it. She was like, when I was a little girl, 10 years old, I never forgot that. I saw Chan Tai San on the, and this perform, do his wire break and all this crazy qigong stuff he would do. We would hear stuff from other people. He never said that. He would tell us about, this guy did this and hit me, and he'd tell us about his teacher. He tapped his teacher, and his teacher, knocked him, galley west, and was missing some teeth. He kind of enjoyed saying, I learned this way, because I learned because it didn't work. He told us stories about, what's his name?
Peter with the stick.
Yeah, he said, beat
Let me ask you
so bad. What?
Did I tell you to tell these stories? Did we get together before? And
I don't know. Where do we go with the camera here? Where's the cutoff?
Because
see him slip me the
because what's funny is I just blogged about this. You go look at my blog from yesterday, right? I said my teacher never told a story about winning a fight. I always told about losing a fight, right? We didn't set this up.
It's true.
I just set the stage, and he jumps right in. Why? Because this is true. That's what we were taught. We were taught like, hey, sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail.
And I'm sure we had many disadvantages to not being Chinese, studying with him, but we had some advantages too. Because as David was saying, in Chinese Confucian society, you can never question what your teacher tells you to do. It's just not done. You just can't do that. And we didn't know. We're not Chinese. So we would say, I don't get it. This doesn't seem to work. Why would it work? I don't get it. And so then we would demonstrate it. So then we go, oh, get it. Because we would say, that's silly. Why would you do that? I don't understand why. How would that work? What if I just do this? And then it would be, bada boom, bada bing. See? Okay? See? And that would be it.
One thing, this is true, right?
But before you go on, but the thing is, we wouldn't get to that point because, a well-educated Chinese person would never question their teacher. Never.
Also, we would stumble on things just because we were stupid, right? We would ask, like, we were just learning Cantonese, like out of a book, and then how it was, right? Sometimes we'd ask somebody, how do you say something? Then we'd go to him, right? We're just trying to learn something. So, I don't know if it was me or Steve Ventura, right? Just for the record, I was introduced by Steve Lorette. So Steve Lorette is my senior. Steve Lorette introduced me and David Ross, and Steve Ventura, right? And then Michael Corello, first year Stephen Innocenzi, and then Gus. I don't remember whether it was me or Stephen Sure, but we learned the phrase monkey, which was like, how do you use this, right? Or what's the application of this? But it also, it sounds like, what use is this? Like, if you don't say it right, it could be like, what use is this? So we made the mistake of, like, when Steve would show us a move, we were trying to get the application. We were trying to, like, piss him off, but we didn't know any better because we were, like, dumb kids. I was, like, 17. Steve was, like, 19. We were, like, didn't know what we were doing. Like, so we used to ask Steve, like, what use is that? I'm sure, like, his head, it was like, it looks useless. Like, so he would always make sure he really show it to us. So, like, there's video on the internet of him kicking me in the nuts because Michael Corello filmed it and stuck it up, walked up right to me, put his hand on my eye, so like an idiot, I look and he kicks me right in the nuts. We learned, we were lucky. It was an interesting journey because we were Americans. We were too stupid not to know and not to ask. We asked a lot and we experienced a lot. And also, I think he cut us slack because he knew that we weren't 100% educated about the culture. Whereas his Chinese students, we heard a story that a lot of Chinese would start to study with him, and he expected so much from them because they were Chinese. They couldn't muster it, they couldn't hold to that thing. So he would teach Chinese in most of them. Now we have one training brother who's Chinese in New York City, who's advanced to all of us. Right now, the guy in the Yale Association. Right. We didn't really train with him because he's part of the Yale. He's my teacher's most senior student in the United States, and he's Chinese. Nobody gives him because he's part of the association. Okay. But other than that, most of the Sifu's students are Americans, and that's because, like I said, the Chinese had a lot of trouble with him. Right.
Well, even Kenny Chin, who actually is a student, was a
student. Kenny, I'm sorry.
He would pick on Kenny a lot.
But Kenny was like Chinese American.
So he would pick on him because he would be like, well, you're Chinese American, your family's Chinese, you should know. So I'll pick on you. These guys, they're strange creatures from another world. I don't know, but you, I know, I can pick on.
You're barely good. If you're not Chinese, you're barely good. You're like singing monkeys or something like that.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Pleasure to meet you.
All right, folks, there you go. Just One here for the Just One Show. Keep watching. Peace.